thank you, Vanessa, for welcoming me into the series and sponsoring me. Thank you very much. I was trying to get all these things done before the end of her year. Here, actually, I'm just going to do it with a pause. I think that's fine. I'll go back. Okay. I'm a long time local. I was trying to dig through yearbooks. I work at the library now, and County Library, and upstairs they have all the yearbooks, and I've been able to find the the Humboldt room at the Eureka Library. It's pretty fantastic. They don't have elementary school library yearbooks, but they have all of the high school library, high school yearbooks from across the community. So you should really go dig through those sometime. And we have school groups go through there. They always want to find their teachers yearbooks. But I was born in Fort Bragg. We moved here to Eureka and then to Arcata when I was little. I went to Pacific Union and Arcata High School. I left a year early from Arcata High School to run off to college a little bit early, but loved a lot of those years. It's kind of fun that I was trying to find little Rotary connections when I was finding pictures and different memories as I was kind of going through. But my grandpa worked for the AT&T, the Pacific Bell, for his whole career, and my dad worked for Pacific Bell, SBC, AT&T, all that for his whole career. So a lot of phone companies. We always had phones in every room, and a lot of phones. I had my own phone number really early. I love fun things. I have various names and layers of names. But I like Shoshanna the best. That's my more recent one. There's even a Rotarian in this dance picture in this here. Not sure what to say. It might be Hannah. That was one of my only dance performances on point. I realized that those were really not my favorite mechanisms of torture. So I found barefoot. They're pretty painful, those point shoes for me. I wasn't that into them, but I got a couple of dances I did in them. I also worked at Adoption Horizons, one of my first jobs that I had that just closed their doors this year, which was kind of bittersweet going in and talking to Cindy and those folks. One of the dance teachers I had in high school is Ramon Reynoso, who now has a dance studio over in the Valley West area. So he's trying to follow the dream of starting a studio. So he's trying to have classes going on there, which is great. And he's been a part of our community for a long time, since about that year-ish. So my first job, though, ever was at Health Sport in the Kids Corner, and my boss was actually the wonderful Elizabeth Adams, who was here in ancient time for her super awesome restaurant catering directions, but kind of fun for a minute. And Dance Expressions at Studio in McKinleyville that Stacy Atkins Salazar's mom was one of the founders of. Many years belly dancing, North Country Fairs, the North Lawn Stage right over there on that side of the plaza is a very favorite place of many dance groups in our community. It's beautiful grass to dance on at the plaza. But this one up here is my very first performance in North Country Fair, the dance company called Shaken Not Stirred. It was local, that lots and lots of years of performances. Now I coordinate that part of North Country Fair, so one of those annual events that I would love to be a part of. And rain or shine, North Country Fair is awesome, and it's such a fun community celebration, and something a lot of the performers really work toward. It's our samba season finale, right? And also a lot of groups really get excited about dancing there. So always fun. I love looking in the audience pictures and seeing kids that later are performing and dancing and being part of it. So I recognize many years of the kids there. So I love some of these pictures I was looking through, because this is the now Mazzotti, the Como, which was a favorite place. I'm just barely old enough to be able to go. I couldn't go in unless there was a show going on. So I don't think I was old enough to go in really. But then this is where the in between the Arcata Theater being a movie theater and then a venue. This is that in between time where we danced before the ATL came in, but a little later. So just kind of fun dancing lots of the venues and places around our community. I'll pause on my husband for a minute. You guys know him as that goat guy. So I was actually my dad went through a phone company, and my grandma was the one who definitely gave me the love of lipstick and earrings and gardening. So I love those additions to my universe. My mom was the enabler of all those things, having me go to dance classes and tons of different styles when I was little, making costumes. My whole life, she was always a costumer. And as I started belly dancing from here locally, trying to pursue more in dance, coming out of the Humboldt County area, traveling to the Bay Area, traveling to other events, and started to travel around the country more. Her business grew and grew. Costuming first dancers at the dance studio, those ballet costumes, she made those. but then turning into a belly dance costumer and making clothes that were fit to different people's body types. Like a dance company might have 20 people of really different heights and sizes, and she specialized in customizing things for everybody. So she built a whole business that actually had a warehouse, a little business in the same building as Jessie Girl over at West End Road. So a great little incubator for a lot of different cool businesses. Her business ended up, after she retired, it didn't keep going, but it was cool to have that be a part of our life forever. Now she makes paper crafts and won't make me any clothes. but pretty nice to see her entrepreneurial improvisational experience work out, which was great. My husband, well, my dad works. My dad went to Humboldt State a long time ago, and he got his degree in biology, went to work for the phone company, different directions. But my husband and I also are alumni from Humboldt. He was a forestry major, and he was a professional lumberjack in Wisconsin. I think that's a nice slide, for a couple of years where he did crazy shenanigans. You guys saw him jump on the fences and things at the goat farm if you were there. With Cypress Grove. But he did the lumberjack sports from here at Humboldt, that went off to be a professional, and was in the ESPN lumberjack championships, like world lumberjack championships a couple of times. But he did this speed climbing, like where they climb to the top of these poles and down in about 14 seconds. It's ridiculous. They fly down the pole. It's crazy. Watch the videos of it. Silly thing. But the log rolling, where you try to make people fall off, and running across logs. It's silly actions. So yeah, so he's a great guy to chase after goats. He can keep up with the silly goats. But we've been together since about 2001. I went to Humboldt with a degree in, I got my degree in art history and graphic design, and a minor in dance and a minor in psychology. And I was there 8 years, and I really loved it. I started a dance club that ended up putting on lots of performances and events, and started teaching a class as the dance department had been kind of knocked down to the bare bones level. But then to bring more classes in, I was teaching as a student, as a directed study project, and then later as a volunteer, and then later as a part-time faculty member. So I've been teaching a class there since 1998 when I was still a student. For a minute, I was student, staff, and faculty, because I was working at the graphic design. That was kind of fun. But I put on lots of shows there, taught lots of classes. Right now I'm teaching Middle Eastern dance. It's every other semester, but I'm still part of that part-time faculty pool. They have a new tenure track teacher starting this semester, who's a former person from our area. So it's exciting to be part of the transition that is Cal Poly Humboldt more. In 2008, I started a dance studio in what had been the dance center in the Creamery building in Arcata. I danced there a lot. All my first dance classes and the belly dance and modern dance were there after I ditched the point shoes. And I love that building. I was part of the haunted house that was there. Part of so actually, first time to the haunted house was in the now in the body space, but followed that around for several years to be a part of it. And this space, this floor, this dance floor, this beautiful, wonderful wood floor had a lot of love in it for many years of dancing, like since the 80s, for a lot of dance communities. So many years of the African dance scene, the samba scene, swing, break dancing, capoeira, belly dancing, so much. But a performance venue, as well as for me, party venue, doing lots of birthday parties and kids camps over the years. So mostly my last 20 years or so has been a lot of gig lifestyle, improvisational entrepreneurial journeys as well. A little more of a not-profit journey than modeled after a non-profit, and then try to keep it going. But my darling daughters, you know, Amira on the side here. This is the early days, lots of dress up fun. But they have their own style, their own fun. They started out with really sparkly, dressed up, fancy stuff. Now Amira has a shoe that she's in Germany right now with her German class from Arcata High School, and loving traveling. Only sends me one-word answers and mostly pictures of the host family's dog. I think we want you, not the host family's dog. But she's like fine at Germany right now. The other one was going to be here with me this morning, but decided not to. We're leaving town after this. And she took an extra hour of sleep. I told her there might be bacon, which was almost enough. But I've got a 7th grader at Coastal Grove, and then Amira at Arcata High School. And she's a new treasurer for Interact, and she's excited to be involved in it. She's loving getting involved in everything. And lots of things at Arcata. I'm part of a lot of community events. For a long time with the Chamber of Commerce, I've been the Halloween fairy that was Andy Scott and Emily Davenport's awesome idea, and I was able to take that on and do lots of pictures. Kind of like doing pictures with Santa, but I think I'm a little less intimidating to some kids because they're usually pretty cool taking pictures. I met Jeanette. They're doing a lot of things. We put on the Fairy Festival together, and the Snowflake Queen idea. It's fun. I think that was the fun one because I found Romy in one of the pictures from the Chamber of Commerce ones, which is fun. She's a pirate there if you don't recognize her. But that's been a lot of fun for years. The dance studio business over the years, definitely it's harder to keep it going when the changing economy. I think definitely some of the cash flow situation has changed. It was harder for some teachers to keep their classes going, which made this regular schedule tougher to maintain. So the not-profit really was a not-profit for a bit. So we started turning the dance studio into a nonprofit organization, which it is now, which has a board, which is the only way it survived COVID, as to community support, which is amazing. It was too new of an organization to be able to apply for any support for different organizations, but it was able to survive somehow fairly. Now it's doing pretty well in the Creamery building, which is great. I still teach classes there a little bit, do some birthday parties, but mostly I'm not. This was my epic favorite trip with dancing. I went to Egypt in 2019, and it was a pretty spectacular journey to be able to look at, be able to be part of some ancient places, a lot of cool contemporary experiences, studying a lot of music and dance teachers from Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan who don't travel here. So be able to go to where they are and get lots of wonderful costuming. And I didn't know I should bring an extra suitcase, but wonderful 3-story dance store I want to live in forever. But I got to see the pyramids, which was fun. What else do I have? My favorite, so COVID pivot, definitely for sure. Birthday parties and kids camps were not such a thing during COVID, and dance classes and all that. So I was pretty unsure what to do, but I know Rotary and Interact really helped to make this one possible. This was the epic 2020 full moon Saturday night Halloween. That would have been so cool, and then it was COVID, and so we decorated the plaza in an epic, fantastic way, a different quadrant of different eights of different themes, and some of you may have been there. I don't know, some of you might have been there for that night, but we backed up traffic on the freeway. Kids found, kids were waiting, why do we have to wait? It took an hour to get to the plaza from the freeway. It was pretty fantastic for people who were able to be. That was one of my favorite moments of 2020 was hanging a giant spider between the palm trees and having and people dressed up really a lot in their cars. So people were really fantastically fancy in the car. So that was, I think, a highlight. It was really fantastic to be able to do a lot of try and figure out ways to make eyeball tree. That tree is a wonderful eyeball tree. That's what the giants rocking out with the giant skeleton right down there. But it was a lot of fun to be a part of small and the larger events the last couple of years. And then and trying to find this year, the theme is more like, a lot of fun. I got to officiate a wedding in the center of the plaza on May Day last year with giant bubbles and a maypole. We had 1,000 people out there for this event, but I married our Humbubbles. They're a wonderful couple that work at our local schools that make giant bubbles. A friend of mine said the other day that she thought that I have kind of a random skill of bringing all these random disparate small things together all at the same time. So there's just a bunch of fairy festival that's like that, and this May Day event. There's just a lot going on, but there are all these little things happening all over the place. But that was pretty cool last year. And trying to decorate last year, we tried to decorate was a little extra tricky. And my husband making the things happen. He climbs things. He climbs lampposts and climbs all the and rocking out with Santa and the wonderful Bojangles, the elf. Joyce here. The fire truck was really fun. It's a couple of years, but trying to get ways to cruise around town. We had this parade, Santa parade, with one car, with two vintage cars, and Santa and the fire truck. That fire truck doesn't really stop. It's kind of exciting. And what else? Now I'm at the library. I'm now the Youth Services Outreach Coordinator at Humboldt County Library. I saw this one position. I never really applied for a regular full-time job before, but being able to be at a place where I could have benefits and a job, where I could have a full-time thing where I wouldn't be as impulse driven to keep doing a million hours a week for something, but I don't want to be the last one out of the library because I have to set the code, so I leave. Drive a band to the car and have a phobia of those. But I was at Rocking the Mouth Festival earlier this year. I've been at a lot of events around the community and going out to Wichipec and Orleans and Redway, and I'll be going out to Petrolia on Tuesday, just going out to the far corners of the county. I feel like I've spent a lot of time in Arcata the last few years, but being able to hop out to the other corners of the county to bring a little bit of that sparkle stuff fun out to the corners of the county. People love it. They really appreciate it. It's fun. And it's a whole new little place to explore. And I'm based in the Eureka Library, which I feel like I'm in Eureka so much more than usual lately. But I'm mostly connected with First Five Humboldt, so we do things with them. My position's mostly funded through a grant through First Five, so I mostly focus on little people. We don't have a children's librarian right now in Eureka, so I'm doing a little extra right now. And that's how to doing that. But library is really fun. If you haven't been there, come paw through the yearbooks. Kinetics. I've got my own little aspect of kinetics as a kinetic fairy princess. And get to grant. I'm an associate kinetic fairy godmother, where I get to grant wishes on the racetrack. She still grants wishes, but I get to help with that a little bit during the weekend. And I help with the upholstering, asking people their favorite sculptures, and get to make some trophies. This year, I got to help judge the champions of tomorrow, the teenager team, which was pretty fun. There were two awesome teams. One team fell apart on the small bridge in a dramatic fashion. They had quite a tale. They ended up winning. For me, they really were rock stars. But the Arcata High Six Rivers team was also rock stars, and they were spectacular and amazing. This is a team that Adam and Amira were raced on and aced. They aced, and then looking at it, they were right up in the top couple point wise. Like, that's kind of cool. But they had a machine that was a rehabbed machine that had been sawed apart, taken apart. It was in the back at Eureka High School, and they have now a machine the art started about 6 days before the race. So there's a lot of paper mache improvisation in our backyard, explosion of glue and saran wrap. But it worked. It didn't fall apart. I was shocked and amazed. So I'm very proud of them. And there are like 4 father-daughter teams on their couples on their team, which was really fun. A lot of teenagers. And the Fairy Festival, that was a crazy wild event out there on the plaza that day. People were stepped up incredibly for their costuming, and we had a costume contest with giant dragon procession, maypole dance, which was not as good as it could have been because I was losing my voice, but it was a lot hard to do those community maypole dances. And 58 vendors and 15 lounges, hangout, interactive art areas around this place. There's just a lot for all ages and fun. Lots of music, aerial arts, dance. What else? I think that's about it. Oh yeah, last weekend I had an epic Star Wars party. That's also Adam and Yoda in the corner, so that's pretty fun. But we had sometimes birthday parties still happening, so the studio now sometimes gets transformed into crazy directions. Just sometimes on Sunday mornings, the only day I can. And there's dancing. I think that if anyone has any questions around anything, I'm very excited to be here. I'm trying to, for Rotary, I'm really excited to try to be a part of things rather than trying to do the things myself so much. So we're at the library, being part of a bigger system, which is great, and being part of Rotary, be able to help out with things, and be a part of things, and not have to be the ringleader of things. My new goal. Any questions at all?
I thought you had a question. I was just curious when you put in sleep.
Yeah, I remember sleeping earlier because like usually I'm going till 1 or 2 in the morning, but this morning I'm light. I'm so shocked that I'm here every time. Try to get here early today. That's the last thing I have to do. I told the sergeant of arms one more time. I think, but that's earlier. But thank you so much for being part of it.
But then I wanted to honor you with your blue badge. Oh, I'm completing your task.
But I did do that one thing. Okay.